We have been going through it for the last 2 months and it's May now. And the question is, where are we heading? Is this plague going to continue? Are we going to have a second or a third wave? What is happening in the world? I'm going to try to break it down in detail. We're going to go deep. I have channeled some really interesting numbers and facts. I can't wait to share these with you, so please stay till the end of the video. It's going to be really important for you to know what to do in the month of May. You are divine. Thank you so much, beautiful star seeds. If you haven't joined this YouTube channel, why don't you subscribe and hit the notification bell as well, so you don't miss a single video or community post that's coming out. I am now really trying to tap into knowledge that is important for us, for our awakening, for our ascension process, and the timelines of our future path have been going like this, like this, like this, like this. It is very hard to predict what is going to happen, because right now every person that I know and the collective is going through it. We're being thrown around. The collective is very unstable. There is still a lot of fear. People don't know whether to open up and search for more, or close down completely in fear and hunker down, whether to trust the government. Who is really in charge? There's all these questions, and the collective is going through it. So the timelines have been going like this. We've been going up and down and up and down and up and down. The collective is split. So I know a lot of YouTubers are talking about the Great Awakening, but how many of us in the collective are awakening? To what degree? How many have opted to shut down and to go down in consciousness? Both things are happening right now. I went into the Akashic records with my pendulum and I tuned into the Akashic record of Mother Earth, of the collective, and I got a few numbers for you. And I'm going to tell you these numbers a little bit later, right? But first of all, you have to know that now in May is a time where the timeline, the future timeline, that means our future reality, where this is going even more wonky. There is great potential for the timeline to go up, for more people to awaken, for things to stabilize, for the crumbling of those big control structures that are controlling us, for that to crumble even more. They're going down, right? That's one timeline. The light is going to win in the end. But the question is, how many chapters will it take? And May and the rest of the year, we're either going like this or we're going like this. These are the two most extreme scenarios. I asked for the two main timelines, and there's not really a middle ground, guys. The interesting thing that I saw, there is no middle ground. We're going up or we're going down. That means we are either going to trigger this great awakening that everyone is talking about, this extreme pain and restriction that we're going through. Mosquitoes. The perils of filming outside. Okay, the pain that we're going through, the fear that we're going through, everything that we're going through either will trigger us to, will jolt the majority or a large part of the population awake, or a large part of the population will opt to do nothing. Just say, okay, this is how it's going to be. This is the new normal. Gigi Young made a really good video about that. The new normal. This is going to be how it is. It's all for our own good, for our own safety. They're not waking up. They don't want to question, why is this happening? They don't want to question the power structures. They don't want to question if it is a plan or not, if we're being suppressed or not, or if it's just the way of the world, it's just random things happening and the government is trying to help us. So there are these two timelines that I am seeing. One timeline where we are able to jolt the majority of the world, or enough people awake so that things will get better in our 3D timeline, or that things are going to get slightly worse. Both are possible. So the very first thing that I want to ask you to do is to find your center and be very, very stable and grounded, okay? It's up to you to do the majority of the light work. It's up to you to hold the ground, to be stable It's up to you to make a choice to wake up and start doing your work, right? So the month of May is not time anymore to be lamenting and, oh, this and that. It's time to say, okay, that's it. Like, all right, we know what's going on. We've been thrown around, but now we have to stand strong. Now we have to really open our eyes, get into fighting position and see what we can do. What can we do? What will you do? What action will you take? What choices will you make in May to help the mass awakening, to help enlightenment, to help the light forces to win? What are you going to do? Are you going to just sit on the sidelines and wait? Or are you going to start to make some positive choices every single day? So that's the first thing that is really important. You can't wait anymore. There's no more time for grieving, for crying, for tantrums. There's no more time, guys. I'm sorry. There's no more time. That's it. The tantrum is over. There are people who have had a lot of losses. If you are the one who has not had great personal losses, who's still able to say, okay, like, I'm still high in my vibration. I am not affected by this so greatly. So you're the ones who are going to pull up the rest of humanity. And now we're going to talk about this scale, Dr. Hawkins' scale of consciousness. That is what Aaron Doughty uses a lot. I read Dr. Hawkins' book, Power versus Force, like maybe 20 years ago. So I've known about this for a long time. If you haven't read it, I'll link it below. You must read this. It's really, really good. Anyways, what he talks about, we know this already, that humanity as a collective and each person individually, you can actually measure anything. Institutions, books, the government, people, you can measure where they stand in their vibration. A very low vibration starts at 20, shame, guilt. Then it goes up here to a point of 200, where we start being positive, where we start having positive influence, where we start going towards the light. 250 is neutrality. Another important point is love. 500 vibrates to love, and love and above is the point where we truly begin to live in the flow of unconditional love, where we really start to impact humanity with our light and with our vibration. And the beautiful thing that Dr. Hawkins said is that one person vibrating at love is equal to 750,000 people vibrating below 200. That means that the light is stronger than the dark. That one person with so much light vibrating really highly in their field, and this is a permanent vibration, right? We all fluctuate. We fluctuate. We experience this and this. We experience the whole spectrum. But where we are in our body, in our incarnation, where we stand, is what we vibrate at as a fixed number. So those who vibrate at love or higher have an incredible amount of weight when it comes to the collective. So that's why I'm saying it's up to you to do your work, to make positive choices every day, to do what you can. What we know, of course, is upholding the light, doing your light work, raising your vibration, living with an open heart, opening your heart chakra, making every choice out of compassion, love, and high vibration, right? That's how you raise your vibration to get to here. So the interesting thing is this. I'm going to get my notes here now. Now, Dr. Hawkins started actually publishing this information at 1985. So this is a long time ago, right? He started publishing this. There's been several versions of his book, Power versus Force. But in 1985, he found out, let me see, let's use yellow, that the world, the collective, was actually vibrating at 205. Okay, that was 1985, right? And in the later versions of his book, I didn't see much change. So 205 is not very high. But the good thing is that if you look at this chart, okay, another frame of reference is service to self and service to other. Now, service to self coming from the law of one, means souls that are only working to serve themselves. I see them as negatively oriented souls. That's how I see them. So service to self souls or negatively oriented souls do not have a connection to divine source. They are not divine. They don't see truth. They live in darkness. They are negatively oriented souls, and they are the draconians that I always talk about. That's a negatively oriented soul group. So here from 200 and all the way down to 0, these are souls who live in service to self. They vibrate at those levels. Or there's negative souls, right? Negative souls. Negative souls. So, the souls that are negative, the negative soul groups, the draconians, any person who has opted to be negative or choose service to self cannot vibrate higher than 199. I checked this in the Akashic records of Mother Gaia. Okay, so if you know a person who is a negatively oriented soul, they vibrate at 199 or lower. They vibrate at any one of these levels or anywhere in between. So there are, I'll write it with another color. There are 10.7% of the population who are service to self or negatively oriented souls. Okay, now the thing that you have to remember is these are not all the evil souls. I got that the so-called evil souls who are perpetuating negativity, who are really causing the worst problems, who are very, very evil, are only 0.2% of these. And the lost souls are 10.5%. So if you can imagine that only 0.2% of all souls that are very evil are wreaking all this havoc on earth. And the other ones I categorize as not actively perpetuating evil, negativity, destruction. Those are the 10.5%, the lost souls, the lost ones. Okay, now, service to others. Now, service to other souls actually are able to exist below 200. So service to other souls, service to other or positively oriented souls, they vibrate between 75 and all the way up to 1000, love, joy, peace, and so on. Okay, so it's interesting to note that there is an overlap. This is the overlap. Okay, this is the overlap here. So as you can see in the overlap, there is a lot of different interests. So with the positively oriented souls that are at a very, very low level, and I also checked that they can't stay permanently at this low level, or else they will go over to the fraction of the negative souls. Okay, so oftentimes we as souls go through different ranges of vibration in our different lives, and it is possible for a soul to kind of go lower and lower and lower, have a lot of trauma, have things happen. And then over time, what I saw in my vision was the life force, the cord to creator source that brings in the light, that is your connection to the divine, starts getting broken up, starts getting leakages, starts getting less and less. And there is many people at this lower point. They are still service to other, they're not service to self yet. I saw that many, many people have just a very, very fine, fine string, like a thin spider web string of light going up that is very volatile. And if another trauma comes, whew, they just cut that off because they lose hope. As you can see from that diagram, at very, very low levels of consciousness, when you start going into grief, apathy, guilt, you start feeling the hopelessness. You start feeling the tragedy of life. You don't believe in God anymore. Your God views goes from disdainful to condemning to vindictive to despising. And your emotions go all the way down, let's say from anxiety, where fear is, anxiety, regret, despair, blame, humiliation. So at some point, When a soul is already very, very traumatized, right? And something hits, boom, they can go all the way down. They can cut off that thin spider web, and they can become a negative soul. And the other way around, it can happen, but it usually takes a long time to happen. It doesn't happen as fast. So for a negative soul that is, let's say, vibrating at 199. Let's say you have a negative soul, let's say a draconian soul, right? A draconian soul that's vibrating at 199. And that because of its life on Earth and many incarnations has started to want connection to the light, has started to live with more compassion, has gone through all these different stages and is now wanting to connect. That soul is able to just make a choice and ask to connect to Creator Source, and boop, it goes up to 200, and then it starts to connect and it switches polarity from negative to positive. Now, what happened? In 1985, the collective was vibrating at 205. Now again, the weight of a few people up here counteracts many people down here. So you can imagine if we're at 205, the great mass of the people was still here and less people were here. But the interesting thing is I went and I measured where we are at right now, today. Right now, May 1st. We are vibrating at 260, all right? 260 is here. So you can see that we have gone up quite a lot. We've gone up from 205 to 260 in just several years. And Hawkins said that it actually took the collective several hundred years to jump from 195 to 205, from just below 200 to 205, several hundred years. And right now it's just taken us a few years to jump 55 points. So we are now vibrating at 260, which is in the zone of neutrality. And I'll come back to that later. Now I wanted to know, okay, how fast have we jumped in the past few months? Since March 1st, when this crisis started, to now, how has this affected society? And from that, we can actually deduct, has there been a mass awakening or not? Have we truly jumped in consciousness throughout the last 2 months? So the results are very interesting. We actually have gone up 5 points. Okay, I hope you can understand these scribblings. We've actually gone up 5 points in the last 2 months. So March 1st, we were in 255. Okay, March 1st, we're at 255. And in 2 months, we jumped 5 points, which is huge, Hawkins also says that most people don't even change more than 5 points on this scale throughout their whole life, if at all, right? So that the mass consciousness, that the collective has managed to go up 5 points is huge. Also, one thing you must know is Dr. Hawkins says, you have to know that going up even 1 point can change your entire life completely. So any change up, any small change up is huge. So we actually have jumped consciousness greatly in the last 2 months, more and faster than ever before. So the question of, has there been a mass awakening? The answer is yes, there has been a mass awakening. Now, within that mass awakening, I wanted to see how many have actually gone up and how many have gone down. Remember, some go up, some go down. The small amount that go up outweigh a large amount that may go down. And I did find out that 44% of the population of the world has actually gone down 1 point in the last 2 months. So you can see that everything that we have been talking about, right? The fear has been so great that 44% of the population have gone inward, have gone downward, have gone away from the light 1 point. Okay? And only 14% of the world's population have gone up. But that 14% has gone up 5 points. Okay? So This may be confusing, but I know you guys are intelligent. So in the last 2 months, 44% of the population have gone down 1 point, 14% of the population have gone up 5 points, and that has created a total rise in consciousness of 5 points. So you can see again that a person holding a lot of light outweighs many people holding less light, right? So I thought that was really, really interesting. Now, a couple more numbers. In the last year, between March 2019 to March 2020, we have actually gone up 7 points. So that is pretty big too. So if you feel that you have really opened up and you have gone through a spiritual awakening, perhaps again and again, then you have actually contributed to a mass awakening that's been going on for the past year. So it looks like we actually have been accelerating in our ascension process, because this is at a collective level, this is the ascension process, right? Once most of us are here, then we're going to be in 5D. 500 and above for me is the 5th dimension, is living in the 5th dimension. Once you have reached love or above, you're in 5D. You're an enlightened person. You have made it onto that higher timeline. Okay, so again, all positive souls, service to other between here and here. Again, negative souls, service to self, 200 and lower. Now, a couple of other interesting things. I actually tuned into the collective who is watching this video. In the future, from now to the future, everybody who is or will watch this video, what your group consciousness is, and it is 517. So all of you watching are collectively vibrating here. So that has something to say. So the download that I got is that you must stand your ground. You must do everything to hold the light, to uphold the light, to raise your vibration. Because you are already very, very weighty, right? If you look at how much you are influencing the world, you have a great weight. You have more power and more responsibility. If you want to do it, like, you can also say, nope, I have nothing to do with this. I'm going to do my own individual ascension process, and I'm not going to worry about the collective, then that's fine. But do we truly want to leave everybody else behind, or do we want to try to shine our light? What is it that we want to do? So for you to do your work, because collectively you are vibrating at 517. And I looked even further. Of all of you watching this, 10 are vibrating at 540 and above, and that's pretty high. That is very, very high. Okay, 8 of you are vibrating at 600 or above at the level of peace, and 2 of you are vibrating at 700 and above, and that is enlightenment. So 2 of you are enlightened. Is it you? Who do you think you are? Where do you think you are? Okay, so that is really interesting. And what I have also channeled with this is that right now, because of the trauma of what's happening right now, is an important point, because usually the process of raising or lowering your vibration rate is pretty slow. Right now, there's something happening. Right now, it's a point in time where the energies are shifting so fast that a massive amount of people can shoot up and raise and switch the vibration rate really high, switch the polarity really fast if they want to. But it's also possible for huge amounts of people to plummet down, to rip off their thread and to turn negative, or to drop vibration rate really fast. So right now, in May specifically, I see a portal opening where the time is such that there can be such a huge shift going up and down, and that's why the timelines are so difficult to read, because it's not stable, depending on the choices that each and every person makes right now in May. If you think about it, archangels vibrate at 10,000, okay? 10,000. And if you think of the fall of the archangels, down, that happened. Archangels fell. In one moment, they fell from 10,000 down to 0. So it's possible. So right now in May, it is possible for huge amounts of people, for the masses, to go up or to go down. And it's a very precarious thing. That's why I'm seeing the timelines like this or like this. I don't see a middle ground. It's like this and like this that we can go. And we don't want to go this way because, like I always say, we are still living in 3D. Even if we are vibrating here, if we have made it into the 5th dimension, we are multidimensional, we are still standing on the earth. At the same time, we're in 5D. And we can choose. At some point when we're vibrating high enough, we can choose how much we want to engage with 3D. But we can do our best. While things are not so bad, we can do our best to shine our light, make positive choices, and be one of those to pull the rest up, to have the timeline go up instead of down. It's just a question, how many chapters of this book are we going to go through? How many chapters of up and down and up and down and down and then up are we going to live? I don't want to live through too many chapters of darkness, do you? And it looks like that is what could happen. So it really depends. It really depends on the choice of each person, and May is absolutely important. Now, one more thing that I channeled that was really, really interesting. You know that I'm preparing to do some videos to expose the starseed origins and the orientation and intentions of politicians, people in power, people in Hollywood. And I asked for your input. And obviously all of you said, Trump, 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 Trump. Now, the interesting thing is this. The download that I got was, and this is a little preview. I'm not doing it all, but this is a little preview. Because things are so volatile. Things are so crazy. The one person who has to be stable and know exactly where they stand and who they are, this one person has to be the President of the United States. Everybody's looking towards the United States. They always are. That's just how it is. And I got the download that Trump is the Joker. He's a Joker. He's a wild card. Okay? The wild card. The Joker flung into the midst of all this madness. Now, this is good. All right? I'm not saying he's positive, he's negative, he's from the light, he's from the dark. I'm not saying that. You know, I always stand neutrally in the middle. But the download that I got was this, that there is a lot of seduction, offered contracts happening from the sides of the cabal, right? We know that the draconian power structure is very seductive. They draw you in, they offer you things, they show you things, they have you sell your soul. And all of us have sold our soul to a point. That's why all this happened. This is something I know as well. You and I have sold our soul to a point for convenience, for entertainment, you know, living the good life. And selling your soul can happen from not being in alignment to what you know you should do for the sake of comfort, or just you don't care. For example, recently, again, I am taking it seriously to not eat meat. You know what goes on in the slaughterhouses. You know what the meat industry is. So knowing that, thinking it's horrible and still eating meat, that's selling your soul. That's not being aligned. That's not being truthful. That's not being straight, right? So I have again recommitted to not eating any meat, and I'm gonna do the vegan thing as well. I'm slowly getting there. You know, last year I started, but I fell off the bandwagon again a little bit. And now I'm recommitting, because now is the time for you to look at your life and say, where have I sold my soul? Where am I just making excuses and like bullshitting? I'm sorry for the word bullshitting, and just not being straight and true to myself. Where am I not living in compassion and love? Where am I just, you know, buying cheap things from China where I know that there's child labor? Out of laziness, you know, getting plastic bags from the supermarket, and, you know, not doing things in a conscious way, in a way that you know you should, but you're just kind of not doing it because everything is so easy, the society is so great, everything is so wonderful, it's so convenient, right? From those small things that you know are not right, but you're doing them anyways, that is selling your soul a little bit. to the point where you're working for corporations that are doing damage, that you know are doing damage, that are truly a detriment to society, you still working at a job there. That's a bigger way of selling your soul, right? And there's always the excuse, we have to feed our families. I know. But in the end, they're excuses. In the end, if you really wanted to, you could have made a change. So right now is a time where you have to rip up all your contracts. You have to get your soul back. Come back to truth and who you are and act accordingly. Up to the higher places, things that we are now learning about. People with, all those satanic rituals and those things. Those are not people from the beginning who wanted that necessarily. They're the ones who started going up in power and fame, and they started being part of the structure, and they were being asked to do more and more horrible things for fame and power. It is really true. If you want fame and power, if you're going in that direction, you will be offered to sell your soul. And in the end, you find yourself at a point where you have promised to do certain things, you're participating in horrible, horrible things where you've completely gone downhill and sold your soul. That's what happens to a lot of people. So, you think Trump would sell his soul? No. Why? He's got it all already. What can anyone offer him that he doesn't already have? What can the cabal offer him? Even before he became president, he was like one of the richest people in the world. He had hotels, he had towers, he had money, he had everything. Everything. He has everything, and now he's the president. I mean, what more could anyone offer him that he doesn't already have, right? So, he is the one who is standing there. He's like, like that. But it's good, because if someone stands there like that, do you think anyone's going to try to come and, wheedle his way in or offer him something? No one's going to do that, because he is just, he's such a little bastard, right? He stands his ground. He knows what he wants. Even if it's ridiculous, he doesn't let himself be pulled back and forth. He doesn't care what anyone says. He abides by his own laws. So let us only hope that he's on the good side. Let us only hope that he is going to stand his ground and help that cabal crumble and fall. Even if he's not really associated with the light or the dark, if he's in the middle, but a positive, decent person or soul that does want the best and that has that personality of like standing strong, even if he's just that, maybe that's what we need right now. Okay, so that's why that came to me, the wild card, and a pretty strong wild card. No one has been able to take him down up till now. Nobody. Why? There's more to him. There's more to him, and I'm going to go into the records these days and really take a good look, right? Anyways, so I hope that helps you a bit. I hope my scribblings here have made sense, right? So, what are you going to do in May? Are you going to hang out in the neutral zone? Of course you're not, because, you guys are here. You're 517. But if you are at 500, try to go even higher. If you're somewhere here, try to go even higher to pull the rest up, to help pull the other masses that are hanging out, just being comfortable, letting anything being done by them, the vaccines, the new normal, everything that they want to impose on us. If they just hang out and don't do anything, that might happen, and our timeline might go down for a long time until it goes up again, right? Now is the chance for the mass awakening. Now is the chance to really dig and dig and dig at those power structures, dig at the roots even more until they boom, fall, and until we go up like this. And it's possible. But we have to do our part. You have to do your part. Make the best choice in every single moment. Claim your soul back. Don't sell your soul anymore in any which way. Be congruent, be straight, right? Be a bearer of the light. Make a good choice. Do something different. Work with compassion. Share. Help your neighbors. Be kind. Just those things. And look a little bit deeper Look a little bit deeper into what you have been doing, how your life has been, right? That's part of the awakening. Like, okay, thank you so much for bearing with me. A bit of a rant there, but the message has to get through. It has to get through. Thank you so much. Love you all. Natasha, Cosmic Empress.